You want to repeat what you just told me? You want
I
to?
don't know
You
if
want to?
this is appropriate, but I'm so sorry, my Caucasian listeners, but I just said something very racist. I created a fake ice cream flavor the other day called Nutty for Niggers.
Not even a minute in, and we're already demonetized.
Hi, welcome to Two Indies and a Mic with Kae Nicole and
John North. Hello, everyone.
hello.
All right. It's been a long time coming, but we are finally here, and we are ready to share our unwanted opinions with the rest of you. So, now that we have our cold open out of the way, let's.
And now that we've low key been demonetized before we even started.
I mean, this is what we promised them. We promised them that we would get canceled in like less than 5 minutes. So I think that's very on brand for us. We should we tell them who we are? Like, I mean,
Probably. That might be kind of
probably.
important. Because they don't.
Yeah. You
You
have
want
to
to go?
go first because you have the platform. You have the platform.
Bruh. Alright, homies. My name is Kae Nicole. Obviously, I already have a separate podcast called The Writer Chick if you guys want to check it out. So enjoy yourselves. I'm just as crazy and probably wicked canceled over there as well, but you still might enjoy it. I've been writing for over a decade. I've published 5 books. Currently,
Ooh.
oh, I'm sorry, not 5. I lied. Why am I such a
Why are
liar?
you lying?
4.
What the hell is wrong with
4.
you?
I published 4. I'm sorry, and then I'm working on my 5th and a bunch of other random ass ideas. Also, I'm a Taurus, so I don't know if anybody gives a shit, but yeah, I'm a Taurus, so yeah. Taurus,
She's a bull. Anyway.
loud and proud.
Loud, definitely. Anyway, so for anyone who isn't aware, my name is John North. I am also a self-published author and the partner of this asshole on my left.
Shut up. You're my fucking fiance.
Oh yeah,
You're
that's right. We're
marrying me
engaged.
for a reason.
Congratulations. This is the news. We are engaged. Yay. Anyway,
Woohoo! The one
woohoo. Wow. Wait, is that too soon? Anyway, moving on. Good God. So I'm a self-published author of fantasy fiction adventure, more on the anime inspiration. I have one book out, only one, a second one on the way for my fantasy adventure series, the Gorgon series. If you guys are interested, you can check me out at Omni Writes on Instagram. That is, as of right now, the only platform I have. That's going to change very, very soon. And yeah, as far as what I like, anime, movies, books, TV shows, the whole nine, anything with a good story, I am all about. So, yeah, totally not a head case like this other person. So, yeah.
You know, I was about to give you a really sweet compliment and say, wow, guys, do you hear how amazing my fiance is? And then you want to follow with that.
You still
Nah,
can.
take it back. I don't even want to stroke your ego no more. Fuck that. You'll be fine.
Wow. This is how she treats you on the daily, by the way. Just
He's still with me.
Does that say more about you or more about me?
More about you, because apparently you like being abused. I don't understand.
Wow. Anyways. So yeah, so we decided, hey, let's make a podcast together and like make it a weekly thing. So here we are, and we're gonna talk about like writing and shit, and hopefully not get canceled that badly and lose like all of our followers. So
we're definitely getting canceled after this first episode, but
so yeah, we can dolphin dive right in.
Who says dolphin dive?
Look, what do dolphins do?
They shoot stuff out of their blowhole.
Anyway, so God, you're gonna have to edit this a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're authors, we're writers. We write every week. I could say every day, but I don't want to lie to the people.
We're not gonna-
And that's our passion, that's our calling, and it has been for, let's see, I've been writing for about 10 years now, and that is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I am under the impression you want to do the same.
Of course.
Okay, yeah. And it's been an interesting journey for the both of us, even though we write such different styles, such different content, and we write about very different themes. And I feel like our lives have really shaped those. So, how about you share with our lovely audience what your writing journey is like? Um, Tell us about how you got here. Where did you start? What keeps you going outside of that sweet 40 cents a month?
I don't even get that shit. But anyway, I feel
Wow.
like I'm being interviewed, but I don't mind it. So my writing journey started off kind of interesting. It started because a friend broke my heart. So
Ouch.
that was the truth. That's exactly why I started writing poetry. That was the very first medium I ever, and I mean ever started with. Then it transitioned to fan fiction for a couple years. So I was writing all types of stuff: Pokemon fan fiction, Speed Racer, Malcolm in the Middle. I refuse to let you guys in on my fanfiction.net profile because I do not want to get embarrassed.
I
So
know it.
no, you better not share that. Do not share that. Those stories are bad. But
Maybe if they
anyway,
donate.
what?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No. Oh my god. Anyway, okay, so fan fiction was it, and then for a couple years, I on and off was writing like books, but I never finished them, or short stories or things like that. Then at 14, I published my first poetry book called "Can I Tell You a Story About My Soul?" Then around what? How old was I? Like 16? I think I published Empty Boxes, which was another poetry book. And then when I was like, what, 17, 18, that's when I published Set Me Free, which is my first novella, which if you want to go slide a bitch $1, you can find it on Amazon. It would be preferred. And then my last one was another poetry book called Morning Doves, which, yeah, that was the
Heart
last one
wrenching.
I did. Huh?
Heart wrenching.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's about an
Well,
ex,
both of them
so,
really.
unfortunately. But anyway,
I
so
am aware.
that's really my whole writing journey, I guess. Over the years, it's just been a lot of trial and error. What was the other question? What keeps me going?
Oh God, yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Usually, what keeps me going, to be honest, is the fact that I know I have something important to say, and I know
Ooh.
that it's my purpose, and I know I'm supposed to be doing this, and I know that I'm going to end up touching somebody's heart in some form or fashion. Whether that's me writing a bestseller, whether that's me writing a movie, whether that's me writing a TV series, which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, I am going to school for professional writing with a focus in screenwriting, because I started really getting into that in my last like 2 years of college.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's really my answer. What
And
about you?
congratulations on that opportunity. I'm really proud of you. Like
Why,
genuinely.
thank you, my love.
You are welcome. Also,
Okay,
we
well,
do
you
gross couple shit, so get used to it. I'm sorry, y'all.
can click off. I don't really care. I love my man. What do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
But babe, in all
Yes.
seriousness, okay, what's been your writing journey? Because yours has actually been interesting. Because I already know, but y'all don't. And what keeps you going even when you get discouraged?
So it's weird because the first thing I've ever written seriously actually goes back a little bit further from when I started writing consistently. It goes back to middle school, right? Middle school, I was in a weird place socially, like everyone else, and didn't know how to be a person. But I did have a few friends who kind of, I guess, fucked with me. I guess. and we were all into anime, which at the time, if you were into anime, don't go outside, right? Or you probably already didn't in middle school. But I remember one day I got really bored in a particular class, and I just started writing this story about a ghost that started terrorizing Metro Atlanta.
That's a vibe.
Right. And it was mostly comedic, oddly enough, but they really messed with it. And it was graphic. And if y'all have read The Crimson Witch, y'all know how graphic I can be with my writing. So it started off that way. Um, and at least for my passion for the media I consumed, when I got into high school after the brief stint of athletics, um, I really got more into movies, more into anime, things like that. And I just finished Soul Eater and Full Metal Alchemist the entire way through. And I was like, wow, these stories are really cool. And they have a lot to say, especially Full Metal, especially Full Metal.
If you guys didn't know, he's a Full Metal geek. He loves it.
A
That's
little
his
bit.
favorite.
A
Not a
little
little
bit.
bit. A lot of bit.
A lot of it.
A lot of bit.
We're doing that now.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, and I just got in front of my HP computer and just started slamming my fingers against the keyboard, and then Magic Stories was born, and it was just well, originally, okay, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. I am so sorry. Look at me lying to y'all. Originally, I had gotten an assignment. I got an assignment in my English class. Shout out to Miss Gilliam. For all the people I went to school with in the ninth grade. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And we had a assignment to write our own myth, right? Because we were reading the Odyssey and it was hell. But
It usually is.
yeah, and like I said, I just finished Full Metal and everything, and I'm like, what if I wrote something like that, like just something magical and fun? And I wrote a story about a jester who met up with this witch and tried to defeat a false god or something like that.
Ooh.
And, and I was like, wow, I actually enjoyed doing homework for the first time ever, right? Because I actually had fun writing that. Like, I stayed up writing it until like goddamn 2 a.m. And I don't do that for homework ever. I will go to sleep and take the L. Like, but after that, I was like, wow, that was really fun. What if I took that story and continued it? And then that's how Magic Stories got born. And then it was just me writing about characters beating the shit out of people. And that stuck with me forever. And from that point, I did write a few other short stories just inspired by the things that I'd watched over the years. I wrote a short story about aliens that I never finished, a short
You
story about
should.
alternate dimensions that I never finished. And I
Dude.
was just,
Alternate dimensions?
yeah, it was Crescent Moon. We talked about that before, I'm pretty sure.
Bro, you need to write that.
I will when I plot them, because neat thing about me is back then I didn't know what the fuck a plot was or how it worked. I just wrote by the seat of my pants, kind of like a certain mangaka I'm very familiar with, but we're not talking about him right now. Um, so yeah, when I actually got to Georgia State University and
Wow.
met, huh?
I said, wow. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And met other people who took an interest in my little hobby of writing on and off. Um, then I actually shared my writing with more people, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But I always felt like I was missing something. Like something's missing, right? I had revamped the whole Magic Stories project, but I was like, something is missing. And that's when my film degree started to play a part, and we'll talk about that more in a bit. But I'd taken more narrative based classes, both in film and in English, and I eventually took English on as a minor. And I started to read more because, fun fact, and you all are going to cancel me, crucify me, do whatever you want. I did not read a lot growing up. I didn't have the patience. I barely have the necessary focus to be considered an adult at this moment. So reading was difficult for me growing up. I couldn't do it. If you sat me in front of a TV, you may have me for like a solid 30 minutes. And then after that, can't tell you shit. But after I took my first creative writing class, and really learned more about how story works and watched more YouTube videos on how to plot and structure and plan. From that point on, I took off. Gorgon was born. History still being written. And that's a bar. So,
See, isn't he amazing, guys?
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, I was cheesing on the other side of his phone.
She's adorable.
Yeah. Mind you, he just called me an asshole like fucking 10 minutes ago.
We were having a moment.
However, I was being a fucking public menace, so I can't really get mad.
I can't. But yeah, as far as that's just my journey as far as why I write or what keeps me going. I feel like mine's is a little bit different. I have a lot of ideas upstairs and everything. And looking back on my childhood, those have always been there, especially since as a kid. Even though I did really good in school, I always struggled with really focusing. I'd space out a lot, right? I also they're getting a little bit personal, but it is what it is. I also get stressed out very, very easily. Writing was my escape. It was a way for me to show something that I liked that other people may like as well. That's originally why I did it. And ever since I finished my first book and finished the draft of my second one, I realized that I had much more to say than just, hey, Aurora just punched the ever-living shit out of Serena. You know? I had more to say than just the fisticuffs, the magic system. I like to explore people and the relationships that they form. And I think when it comes to great stories and why I love them so much, beyond just the themes and philosophies, it's all about people and the relationships they form. And I know just as a person, that's what I value more than literally anything. So it's starting to show more in my writing now, whether we're talking about Gorgon or any future projects that are separate from it.
First off, that was very profound. And another thing, put a pin in that because that actually relates to two of our other topics.
Indeed it does. And I shall. I
like that. That was great. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to move on to the next one, or did you want to keep going on about this one?
I do want to talk about something very briefly.
Hit me with it.
When we met and when we first when we met and we first exchanged our work with each other, it was very clear that we lived in like two completely different worlds. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like that stood out in our writing, but I cannot sit here in front since we've gotten to know each other and really gotten closer just as people. Our writing styles they have changed.
It has. It's improved a lot because if you guys didn't know, I'm going to try to work on a fantasy novel, which if you guys know or have followed me for a while, you know I actually only write like contemporary romance. So this is a completely new avenue for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can tell them what you're writing or working on.
So I'm still writing fantasy.
Well, yeah, you're still writing fantasy, but...
I'm still writing fantasy. However, I've just in my writing in general, I've really leaned more into the human experience. Mm-hmm. Even though none of my characters are human. At least not in a species sense, but they are human, but they're not
Well, I feel like human or humanity is really just being alive, I guess, or just being a person, and having emotions. So
Yeah, right. And at least for me, I've really taken a page out of her book into really exploring the dynamics of these characters and not just trying to meet a plot quota. Because nowadays I do plan, I do outline, and I've been doing that since I've started my indie author career, and I need things to go a certain way. But since exploring a lot of the writing from you, and I did write a little bit of poetry here on the side, but
he
that's
did.
it's more so romantic stuff for my partner. So no, I will not share it. At least not now. Um, but it's helped me. There's a word for this.
Are you looking for the word improve or
Not just
enhance?
improve, not just enhance, but like it helped me open up. There's a
Ah.
specific word I'm looking for. Gave me more of an open mind toward how I want to explore the stories that I want to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I really would have gotten that if you didn't come into my life.
Aww. And another
So
thing, he's writing a book in first person,
there's
and
that
it's really
too.
good. And he normally only writes in third person. That's the crazy
Right,
part.
right. Yeah. So taking a stab at first person, and I am enjoying it a lot.
He's actually really good at it, by the way. Like,
Thank you.
really fucking good at it. I've been editing
I
his stuff on the side.
I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did if you weren't there. So
You
yeah, I really
know,
appreciate you.
look, don't make a bitch tear up.
Right.
Oh, look at how much he loves me.
Oh my god.
Isn't he so sweet? I love my baby. Anyway,
I love you
um,
too.
I'm not trying to be overly gushy on here, but he's just like dope. So
I do what I can for people.
yeah.
hmm Okay, that kind of threw me off because now I'm cheating.
I mean, I've been cheesing the entire time we've been talking. So
Speaking on relation, because we brung up relationships in general, and we talked about this the other day. I feel like as writers, that our experiences in relationships may shape our writing more than we think, especially for those like me who do genre writing.
mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously, I don't live in a world where witches and demons exist. I don't think. Um, but when I look back at Gorgon and where Gorgon is now, especially where it is now, I can really tell how the things around me and my core values have really shaped my writing. And just to I guess just to go right into it, for those who aren't aware, swear this isn't a shameless plug, but Gorgon the Crimson Witch is a story about two sisters who are initially at each other's necks and have to grow together to not only accomplish their goals, but to really accept themselves because they weren't accepted by anyone else, whether it be their respective parent or the greater people in society. And at least when it comes to a sibling dynamic, which continues throughout the series, I have so many sibling characters. When I stepped back and looked at it, I'm like, some of these dynamics remind me of my own relationship with my own siblings. Because I'm one of how many of there are us? Five, six, seven?
A
There's a
lot,
lot of us.
a lot.
And at least when it comes to the two sisters I grew up with, if you guys are listening, Raquel and Kiana, yes, we're going to talk about y'all a little bit. They essentially helped to raise me as the youngest. And even while growing up, it never really seemed that we were that close. We are tight, especially now that I'm a bit older. We're tight. And in spite of how much we may have bickered or fought over the years over anything, just sibling shit, literally just sibling shit, they always held me down, for lack of a better phrase. And we always fought for each other. And whenever I wrote a sibling relationship in Gorgon, that wasn't toxic, by the way. it was always more of the same. Like, no matter what happened, they, at the end of the day, had each other's backs. They loved each other. They supported each other. Yes, they got on each other's nerves, but they will go to literally hell and back for each other. And that's just been my experience in this family. So I guess I owe a lot to them. It didn't even realize it when I was writing it for, I guess, those themes of brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood. So yeah.
I like that. That was
You
very
like that?
profound.
Thank
I
you.
did.
I
I
know.
thought it was cool.
Oh yeah, no, it was a sports reference. Don't worry about it.
Oh my god. No, I was about to say, but I find it interesting that those type of things always end up bleeding into your writing, whether you realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we were just talking about this a couple days ago, where I was talking about how I predominantly only write only children. There's only been one story I've ever written that somebody actually had a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And that would set me free, by the way. But everything else, they're usually only children, or they're grown and then maybe like they got like a step sibling or some shit. But very rarely do they actually have their own, you know, sibling relationship.
Right.
Only just because that's how I grew up. So to me, that's normal. Having a sibling is not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it is nice to have that and have somebody who looks out for you all the time, you know? And that's why I really liked your book anyway, because I felt that their relationship as sisters was really authentic.
Thank you.
And I still feel that way even now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting when you really like peel the layers of this series so far, which you guys will be exposed more to in the future when the content is ready for books 3, 4, and the standalone. Oh, I'm sorry, 2, 3, and the standalone. We're not at 4 yet. It's ridiculous. But yeah, sibling dynamics are interesting. And it's funny. I actually want to bring this up now. I've experienced nothing but positive sibling relationships. You know what else is in Gorgon?
What? Positive
Uh,
sibling relationships?
huh?
I said, what? Positive sibling relationships?
Oh yeah, no, that's already there. But you want to know what else is there?
What else?
Toxic parenting.
Ah, yeah, Uriel. How do you say her name?
Uriel.
Uriel. She's a fucking clown. She gets on my nerve. I can't stand her as a character, but that means you did a good job.
Right. I was like, that was definitely my intent. She's a monster.
She's a fucking dick. Like, God.
Right. Now we do, I guess, because you haven't edited it yet, minor spoilers for the Minotaur's Wrath for whenever I send it to you. But we do get more of a peek, at least a subtle peek into Uriel as a person.
Which I think is important because you still, even if your villain is a villain, you still have to give them something that humanizes them too.
Right, right. I think that's always important unless you're going for a specific archetype, which we'll probably get into that a little later. But I think it's important to know that these type of people exist. People
No,
like
because they do.
right.
Sadly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it's interesting because I've only had like loving parents, and then I write in this story, as you will read on, a lot of these parents in this world kind of suck.
Yeah.
Especially the demigods. They're kind of not good. Like, so there'll be a lot of that. I just think that's a little interesting. And I know that you have some interesting dynamics in your respective works as well that actually, from the content of yours that I've read, vary.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, because I remember the way the family dynamics are in Set Me Free versus something like Hold Me As I Land or Wasted. You know,
Mm-hmm. They're
like
different.
it's like almost night and day how those families are.
Right.
Um,
And I can touch more on that in a minute. But I'll
mhm.
let you finish what you're saying.
Oh no, I was giving you the mic.
Oh, okay. Say fucking less. Well, I would say the reason why the family dynamics in Set Me Free were different in comparison to the new stuff I've written is because of my own perception has changed over the years. Okay.
Hmm.
Because remember, I started that when I was like 14. So as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, my ability to see what toxic parenting and shit look like was going to be different than in hindsight. Now that I'm 22 and I graduated with a psych degree and stuff, and I understand how family dynamics can be toxic in different ways, it now bleeds into my own writing. And not to get super personal here, but
Mm-hmm.
as much as I love my parents, they do have some ways about them that I don't really like. So
Mm-hmm.
that in turn also bleeds into my writing, because in a way I'm trying to almost figure out how to navigate that on my own, because I don't really know how to deal with that. I just don't. So me having to project down my character and her having to figure it out and her having to figure and have that not happy ending, but on some level have that conversation or have that moment with their parent, whether that's the mom, dad, or both. That's almost my own outlet, because I can't really do that in real life without repercussions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why it's night and day, because my relationship dynamics with the people around me are now night and day. They're like completely different than what they used to be. Still the same. The core is the same, but there's a lot of things I'm starting to realize, because your parents are people too. Your
Right.
parents go through shit too. Your
Mm-hmm.
parents aren't perfect. They're gonna have their ways, just
Mm-hmm.
like you aren't perfect.
Right.
It doesn't make it right, but it makes you understand that they're flawed and they kind of did the best that they could with what they had at the time, even if it kind of is a bit of a detriment to you and kind of left you with scars and trauma. But you know, it's just
Scars
my
and
lore, so it's okay.
oh, y'all know nothing about Kayla's canon events, but
I'm not really going to share
we're not.
them.
We are not. Absolutely not.
They're kind of traumatic. Not gonna
Mm,
hold you.
yeah. No. 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 No.
Yeah, and I'm even still trying to
Process.
come to terms with that too and process it. So I don't know if I'm ever really going to share that online, but
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Well, that's your entirely your prerogative.
Right. And
Um,
also my family does listen to this, so I don't really need them hearing their business
yeah,
on the internet.
no, 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 no.
Yeah. So I'm
Prerogative
good.
with consent.
Prerogative with consent.
Right. And I was gonna say, like, and this just, I guess, goes for anyone who else needs to hear it. Regardless of what you are going through or what you have gone through, it doesn't matter how old you get or how far along you're in life or what you're working on right now. You can always find that healing and find that closure. And sometimes that may take longer than it does for others, but so long as peace is what you're pursuing and prosperity, then through resources and through discipline, you will find that peace. So, for anything that you're dealing with that we have talked about before, just me and you,
Yeah.
I know, and I'm confident that you will find that sanctuary just as some of your characters have, and you will be able to navigate some of those experiences just how I'm going to be able to navigate some of mine, just within my own family. And I'm not going to get into it, or even beyond family, because we know that I've been through other things too outside of the household.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, continue your journey, continue being you, and as Blair would say, never stop fighting.
Big
I guess.
facts. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this would be a perfect time for an ad from our sponsors.
We don't have a sponsor.
We have a sponsor now. It's me.
What? This
I own a business, remember?
Oh, you're plugging. God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ad from our sponsors. Hey there, fellow book lovers. Are you an aspiring author eager to share your stories with the world? Well, have I got something special for you today? Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Fontaine Publications, the ultimate destination for all your writing and editing needs. Picture this. You've poured your heart and soul into a manuscript, but you're feeling overwhelmed by the daunting task of turning it into a polished masterpiece. That's where Fontaine Publications steps in. They're your dedicated partners on the journey to becoming a successful author. Fontaine Publications offers a wide range of services tailored to meet your unique needs. Need help with the nitty-gritty of grammar, spelling, and sentence structure? Their expert editors will comb through your manuscript, ensuring it shines with professional precision. But it doesn't stop there. Fontaine Publications goes the extra mile by providing comprehensive feedback and suggestions for improving your story's plot, pacing, character development, and more. With their keen editorial eyes and industry expertise, they'll guide you towards crafting a narrative that captivates readers and keeps them turning those pages. But that's not all. Fontaine Publications also provides comprehensive guides, ebooks, and resources to make your author journey as smooth as possible. So if you're ready to take your writing to the next level, look no further than Fontaine Publications. Head over to their website at fontainepublications.com and explore their services. And here's a special treat. Our podcast listeners can use the promo code WORDSMITH10 to receive a 10% discount on their first order. Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. You can speak now.
I'm unsubscribing. How dare you unsubscribe from me?
Cover art design. And I'm going to be adding more stuff later on throughout the month, so stay tuned.
She quite literally does the whole nine.
Literally everything. I
nine.
like literally everything. I even have a section for social media management. Okay, so it's very comprehensive. When I said that, I meant it.
So yeah, and as someone who has used her services, y'all gonna want to sign up and book. Trust me, it'll help you out in the long run.
Right.
So,
and he can vouch for me because I leave him very, very detailed comments.
Very detailed. So if you want that narrative eye on your narrative, go ahead and book Fontaine today.
And even better, guys, if you're a poet, I got you. I beta read and edit poetry. So I know most people don't do that. So I'm your girl. Okay, that's enough self-promo for today. Did you want to move on to the next talking point, or was there something else you wanted to bring up?
We can. We actually, at least from my major talking points, we breezed through a lot in that brief talk. If there's anything you have on your end that you wanted to chit-chat about, or we can just bounce around, we can.
Well, I did actually want to touch more on the how our degrees helped our writing, because we kind of mentioned it.
Ooh, right.
But we didn't. So let's go there. You can start first.
Yeah, so for me, like I said, I went to school for film and media, and I have a degree that is sitting very comfortably beside my bed and nowhere else. Collecting dust. But
Bruh.
yeah, originally yours is in a booklet thingy.
Collecting dust.
Oh my god. But yours is on display. Mine's still in the roll that it came in the mail. It's been 2 years.
Are you serious? Bro, are you
I told you this. Yes. I do not have it on display. You know this. You come over often.
Nigga, I didn't wait. Nigga,
Where did you think it was? Where?
You don't fucking know, but I didn't think you still had it in the roll.
You thought I had it in my sock drawer?
Maybe.
What? No, it's in the damn roll.
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
You shouldn't leave it in the roll. That's still
To be fair, I got my first anime poster like 4 years ago, and it stayed in the roll for 2 years. Okay. I only just put up my posters. I think right after I met you, actually, is when I put up my posters finally.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'll just give you another month or two, and then maybe you might feel inclined to take it out.
Is this homework?
No.
It feels like homework.
You got till Sunday, because I'm coming over Sunday. So.
Oh my god! See, I knew she'd do this. Anyway, but anywho, but yeah, film and media. I went into school with the bright idea that I'd make movies and make a lot of money, and then I left it depressed. But anyway,
like most college students, but go off.
But it was around junior. It was between sophomore and junior year that I really picked up my writing and decided to take it more seriously. Started planning, started learning more about plot, characters, magic systems, developing a world, all of that. And all of that was just on my own. But like I mentioned this earlier, through college, my writing felt like it was missing something since I was finally asking for feedback. And I decided my junior year that I would take creative writing. And along with that, I did have a narrative. Narrative techniques was actually my senior year, and that was on the computer. But I did take more film theory classes too, in terms of just how certain cinematography tells narrative. And some of those studies I applied to my writing. If you've noticed, babe, and I've gotten this comment even from my mom, love her to death. It takes a while to get her to read. We are the same way.
Yep.
But even my mom said when she first started my book that everything seems so vivid, it feels like I'm watching a movie. And then it clicked that my writing style kind of leans towards the visual.
It does.
I try not to be overly descriptive, but I am very descriptive. And I really try to set a scene, and when I write, the way I envision things in my head, I envision it as if it were a movie scene or maybe even a manga panel. So I know those years of college really fed into my writing, especially my creative writing class. I feel like that really shaped up my writing a lot, reading a lot of other people's styles, their narrative tactics. And mind you, these were for very short stories. And some of these people I'm still friends with to this day. It really opened my eyes and mind to what I could do on the page. And more so to what my restrictions are. How can I tell the story as clear as possible? I feel like for any writer, that is the number one question. Because especially for a fantasy writer, you have a lot going on. You have a lot of exposition behind it, in fantasy especially. You have a whole world to explain to the unfamiliar. This has to be done in an engaging way, and it has to be done concisely, and it has to be easy to understand. Because if I open up your fantasy book and it reads like a damn encyclopedia, I will close that shit.
Gracefully?
Right. Yes. Well, Gracefully was just boring.
And the main character sucked, but yeah.
Right. Which is part of why it was boring.
Mm-hmm.
But that class definitely taught me that your story is all about your character, but it did give me a misconception about writing as well, which we will get to in a minute.
Ooh.
We will get to
Put
it.
a pin.
Yep. But I owe that class and those 2 years between junior and senior year everything to my writing, because I literally graduated with a published book. Literally lined it up that way. Because I said I will not finish my senior year until this book is published. Now, granted, it came like 20 days later, but that's because of finances. So,
but you still did it.
Yeah, I did it. And then I published it again and again and again.
Again and again. Oh, I'm thinking of that Spider-Man meme. Just put your book there. Just different versions.
Oh my God.
Just pointing at each other.
Fun fact, if you ever bought my book when it was published and then bought it again later that year, those prints are completely different. Completely. The formatting's different. Mm-hmm. But there is only 2 editions. There's the first edition, which you can no longer buy. Sorry. And then there's the second edition, which is out now, available on Amazon. If you are interested, just visit me on IG, click my link tree, and yeah, you'll find the book right there. Shameless plug. But yeah, it's a little interesting how my tastes and classes have sort of morphed my writing into what it is, and again, how just exposure to you and your style has morphed my writing style again. So it's like I feel like I adapt a lot to what's in front of me. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting, so I brought it up.
That is interesting.
What about you, psych major? What's going on in your camp? Like, uh, how does being a like science major make you put words on page? How does that work?
Oh, okay. So, as a psychology major, I can show off the vocals a little.
He's so hot.
Did you just call me hot?
Yes, you're fine. Shut up.
Thank you, baby.
Mm.
Um. Anyway, so fun fact, guys. I originally actually went to school. I went to Kennesaw, by the way, Kennesaw State. So if you guys go there, make sure you say hello because I'll be up there in August. But nah. So I originally started as an English education major because my goal was to become a teacher, high school. But then ended up working with some third graders. Realized I fucking hate kids, and I was like, nah, fuck this isn't for me. So I switched. I was debating between psychology or English. Okay, I was gonna do English initially, but then I was concerned about if I would be able to get a job when I got out of school. So that's why I said I don't know if I want to do that. If I did do it, I would do it like a minor, like John did. But I ended up going the psychology route, which is interesting considering I'm not really a science person. But I like psychology a lot because not only did it teach me the psyche of the human mind, obviously, but it helped me with crafting characters. Because when you have characters, you have to make them realistic, and making them realistic means getting in their head. You need to figure out what they fear, what traumas they have, how those traumas influence the decisions they make in their life. You know what I mean? Because everybody has something that influences their decisions or influences what type of people they connect with, what influences what type of friendships they have, what type of relationships they end up having, how their family dynamics are, how they raise their children later on, what type of people they marry, how they deal with marriage, how they deal with finances. Certain things always lead back to how you grew up. Okay. I always say your parents are the blueprint. And then on top of that, you got your other experiences that then will shape who you are. So it's important to know how those things will interconnect with each other. And it forces you to look at how those interpersonal relationships connect with each other in order to influence you or those around you. And psychology taught me that the most. I think that because of my degree, I actually created better characters overall. Because if you guys read my stuff from early on to now, it's a complete different shift. Okay. You really feel like you know the person that you're reading about, which I think is really imperative because most stories are supposed to be character driven. I feel character driven stories tend to be a little bit better because you can't have a story without a decent character, and you can't create a decent character if you don't understand the psyche behind said character. So
Right.
that's what I would say would be the biggest takeaway from psychology for me, and I don't regret doing it. If anything, I would go back and do it again because it was probably one of the most interesting majors and subjects that I ever learned about. I learned so much about human development, social psychology, and how people form groups and deal with groups and stuff like that. I learned about fucking research, cognitive behaviors. I
SAT
took a human
words.
right. I took a human sexuality class. I think I even took a did I take a gender studies class too? I think I might have.
Um.
I don't remember.
hmm.
I remember, but I took a lot of those types of courses. So yeah. Then obviously you guys know I minored in film studies, which was actually a last minute decision, by the way. I didn't actually pick that as my minor until my junior year. I just was more, if anything, more interested in just learning about it, less of trying to make a life out of it until now, clearly. Now, as for film studies, what that taught me the most was how to break down a story to its core beats. And it taught me how to write better dialogue. But with screenwriting, you don't have time to really plot every single tiny fucking detail. Okay, you need to get to the point. All right.
Yes.
So not only did it help me with my outline, it helped me figure out how to just get the major beats and then fill it in from there. But it also taught me how to write dialogue, since screenplays tend to be more dialogue heavy. You have to know how to make people sound authentic.
Yes.
You know? And it also still ties into characters too, by the way. Character progression is super fucking important in that field as well. But I would say those are the two things I learned the most. And now I actually really like screenwriting. Now, I wish I could just finish a fucking feature, because I'm actually halfway through my feature that I had to do for my last class, but I just haven't even had time to finish it. He loves it. He's waiting on me to give him the rest.
Patiently waiting like 50 Cent, goddammit.
Yep, he's patiently waiting. I'm gonna finish it. I swear. I promise. But I at least want to get it done before I have to go to school, because, like, or at least want to say I finished something, you know? Because the only thing I've ever finished was a short film called What You Did. That's the only thing I've ever completed in that field.
Which is amazing.
I know, right? Thank you. But yeah, that's the next one I have, and then I have a couple ideas for some other ones. But what were you gonna say? What's up?
That actually reminded me of something that I don't really have in my notes, but I do want to kind of talk about a little bit, because it's been prevalent for the both of us, especially in this past year.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin. Yeah, I'm almost done. We'll get to it in a minute. But and then obviously, you guys know I'm going in my master's. Where I'm gonna be majoring in professional writing. So I'm gonna take every single class, because they have it broken down where you can do creative, you can do rhetorical, and you can do applied. So applied is like social media shit, rhetorical is like papers and editing and grant writing, and then creative is playwriting and screenwriting and fiction writing and whatever. I'm not that I've done it yet, but I know when I go, I'm going to be a lot more well-rounded, because now I'm going to get a taste of everything. So that's where I feel I'm going to learn more about. Obviously, in 2 years, I'll give a full spiel on what I really learned, but I can already foresee what I'm going to learn, and I'm very excited to share that with you guys later on.
Concur.
Yep. Okay. So what was the thing you wanted to talk about?
So, this definitely applies to the both of us.
Okay.
Especially since we've met.
Mhm.
We have had a small, teeny, tiny problem.
What was the small, teeny, tiny problem?
Which all writers deal with. We haven't been able to finish something in quite, at least when it comes to a larger project.
Yeah, I swear to God, the last project I actually, and I mean actually, like, completely finished was Morning Nuts, and that was like damn near 3 years ago.
Holy shit!
I remember because I published that in my freshman year of college.
Right.
So.
And for me, the last project I was able to say the end on was The Minotaur's Wrath, which is book 2 of Gorgon. You notice it's not published yet. There's a reason. We'll get into it later. But and I've been writing book 3, The Siren's Voice, at least since I've met you. So it's been over a year and some change now since I started that project. And usually for every book project I have, I finish it within a year. Book 2 took a bit longer because I literally have 8 versions of it. And I finally stuck with one and was able to finish it. But with The Siren's Voice, it's been really hard to close this project out. And I'm like, at least for the drafting process, I'm not even right at the end. I'm right at the top of the 3rd act, which is still like over 100,000 words in, by the way. So this is going to be the longest book I've wrote, or written, if we want to get technical. So it's strange, because I feel like if we're talking about Wasted or The Siren's Voice, our reasons for not finishing are kind of similar.
Yeah, my biggest problem is stress. And it's not even, I can't even really say it's because I don't have time, because I actually do have time. Like, I can make the time if I find the time. I just choose not to do it, because every time I sit down at the fucking computer, it's either I'm getting interrupted every 5 minutes about something.
Mood.
I'm either have writer's block like a motherfucker.
Also mood.
Or there's more shit going on that keeps me from wanting to stay focused on writing, because to me it feels like, well, I got all this other stuff going on. That's more important than this. This is a waste of time.
Fun
But
fact
it's
for
some
everyone who... Oh, go ahead. I'm so
oh,
sorry.
sorry. But then it sucks though, because that's my passion. I should want to feed into my hobby and my passion, but I can't feed into my hobby and my passion because I'm stressed about everything fucking else.
Right. And fun fact to anyone who doesn't know, if you haven't figured it out by now, us writers have lives outside of writing. Kind of crazy concept, but like...
Yeah, we're not holed up in the basement all the time cranking out stories for y'all. We do have lives.
Now, if it paid like that, maybe we would be, but we not there yet. We gotta work. We gotta work our way up. But yeah, for me, kind of, sort of, same. Because a lot has been happening over the last year, which has demanded my immediate and mental focus, especially the mental focus.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer's block doesn't help, especially because, and you can, and and she can attest to this. It seems like every other day I want to scrap the project.
Me too.
You're not allowed, but
No, I know. Like, either wasted. If you guys didn't understand, if you guys don't know, from the beginning of Wasted to where I stopped, it was giving me fucking problems. You don't know how many times I cried and threatened to completely scrap the fucking project,
and I stopped
despite
her
what
every
other
single
people
time.
said.
And I stopped her every
Despite,
single time because it's
yep,
amazing.
every time. Thank you, because everybody else says it's amazing. I fucking look at it and go, I hate this shit. Even I'm starting to feel that way with Homies and Lane. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually starting to feel that way.
What?
Yeah, a little bit.
Bro.
Yeah, I was
Babe.
rereading what I wrote like a couple of days ago. I'm like, I might as well just throw this whole project out. Like, I'm so fucking sick of this.
You're not allowed because I need that book like in my hands. But same for the Siren's Voice, because like this is one of the few... I've only wrote 3. This is the first... Gorgon is a whole series, so there's a lot happening and there's a lot of characters, and we get new characters every book. So I'm dealing with a lot of interconnecting plot threads and stuff like that. So that by itself is a little overwhelming. Because I'm not used to it yet. This is my first series. And it's the only thing I've written really in my self-publishing career. I haven't started on any of the other projects I have, which we will learn about more either in this podcast or just from me. But every other time I'd like write a chapter, right? Write a chapter and I'd be like, hey, babe, I just finished a chapter. She'd be like, oh, yay, that's awesome. And then I'd like leave the computer and I'd think about it for 5 minutes. And then I'd text and be like, babe, I fucking hate it. It's garbage. I want to delete the whole thing and just start with the next arc off rip because this ain't it, right? And she'd be like, oh, well, don't throw it away yet or whatever. And I'm like, and then I go back to it and then I'm rereading it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's not that bad. And then the cycle just repeats. Like, and at least at this point, it's to where I'm in a particular portion of the story that I keep going back and editing, which is a writer's sin when you're drafting. Do not edit while you write. Don't do it.
You'll never finish anything, dude.
Right. And now I just feel like I'm in a damn time loop. So and I'm really trying to get out of that because ever since starting my new project, I felt a little bit better about the Siren's Voice existing still. So I decided that I am going to at least finish the draft before I pass judgment on it. And hopefully an editor would help with that as well. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And go from there because at least for that particular story, there is something to say in that one as well. And I think it would be a good installment to the series.
I agree.
It's just drunk. That's the problem. It's drunk.
Right.
um,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm good.
But so yeah, we're writers. We talk shit. We love. We have fun, and we occasionally get canceled on the internet for
Yeah.
for being slightly problematic. But you know what else is problematic?
What?
Gatekeeping. Let's go on Reddit.
Oh, say less. This will be the last thing we go over before we gotta hop off. But I don't believe in
So
gatekeeping. I don't. I don't get the point.
I don't either. Baby, they don't know what we're talking about though.
Well, okay, well, yeah, you're right. Explain it to the people.
So, a while ago, me and her had a conversation about certain things that we found on either IG or on various servers that we're in, and how we found some very interesting writing opinions. And we're gonna throw them in the grinder. So we're on Reddit right now, r/writing, and we were looking at a post by, I'm not reading their username, but it reads, "What are your most controversial writing opinions?" Whether that opinion has to do with tropes, the writing process, books in general, favorite series, etc. I find asking for controversial opinions is always fun and sparks some interesting discussions. But please remember to be nice. And if you know anything about me personally or about my wonderful fiance, we're not very nice. So we are going to be mean and hurt people's feelings. You
I'm
ready?
excited. It brings me so much joy. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So since I brought up gatekeeping and you were about to go on a whole tangent, go for it.
Okay, so gatekeeping, at least in this case, is trying to keep people from writing certain subjects, censoring
Mhm.
certain subjects, not writing about certain races if you're not that race, or writing about certain genders if you're not that gender, whatever, that type of thing. I do not believe in that at
Mhm.
all. If you choose to write, let's say you're fucking white. All right, let's say you're white, want to write a black character. I'm not necessarily offended by that as long as you do the proper research and you're not trying to make them like a goddamn uh what what's the word, minstrel man. Don't make them.
Jesus Christ.
Don't turn into a minstrel man. Don't fucking tokenize them. Don't fucking do all the stereotypes that all black people hate. Okay, not every black person eats fried chicken and watermelon. Okay, it's break too. That's a little extreme, but you get my point. At the end of the day, as long as you do the proper research on whatever culture, whatever gender, whatever race, or any of the above that you choose to, you know, put in your story, just do the proper research. Personally, I'm not offended, but some people are, and they're like, "Well, you can't write it. You're not in, and you can't do this." And da da da. I don't believe in you can't. There is no such thing as you cannot. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Hey, that's what I say.
However, right, you can do whatever the fuck you want. However, be mindful, and if you end up writing some fuck shit because you didn't do the proper research, then don't be mad at the repercussions that occur. Okay, that's on
Right.
you. But if you don't want to deal with that, then you do the proper research. It's not that hard. It's that
Right.
simple.
Right. I concur with everything you just said. Oh god, I'm sounding like Skip Bayless. Anyway, God. But
Oh my god.
but don't write no stupid shit.
Please don't.
Like, if, like she said, just do your research, treat it with care, and I even argue this: you don't have to get too cultural if you don't want to. You do know this is a thing like that actually exists. You gotta like kind of squint to see it, but we just be chilling, and
Mm-hmm.
like you can write a black kid the same way you would a white kid, and nothing will change.
Basically.
Don't tokenize it. Don't make it weird.
Don't basically do not make race the only thing about them because they're still a person. Okay, it's just the color of their skin.
Right.
We don't make everything about race with white people, so don't make everything about race with us. So, like, we can have stories about Black people that don't have to center around their race. Yes, it's an important part of their lifestyle. Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
a thing that can affect their lives. But unless it is applicable to whatever you're writing about, then you don't really need to bring it up. I'm going to
Right.
be honest. You really don't have to.
Right.
Like, for example, Set Me Free was about police brutality. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
highlight the fact that they were Black more than anything because of what the subject was about. However, in
Right.
comparison with Homies I Land, has nothing to do with them being Black. They're in love.
Right.
They're just people in love. Will I mention they're Black? Yeah. Will I mention they got braids and locks and curly hair? Yes, because they're still Black. But is it the core of the story? No. It's the core of the story is her navigating her relationship with her mom, getting over her shitty ass ex, and finding new love. That's all that matters.
You
That's the
say
plot.
Justin. But anyway,
Yeah, Justin's a beta nigga if you ain't know.
oh my
So
God. But yeah, conversely, most of the characters in Gorgon are essentially white. They're really Greek, but they're white.
they're from the
And
Caucasus Mountains.
shut the fuck up. What the fuck was that?
Whose goddamn white baby is this?
Oh
Sorry.
my God.
That shit for audio stuck in my head. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
He's not gonna edit that out either. But
No.
but their color of the skin has less to do with their story versus what species they are, which there are some racial themes in there, especially with Aurora being half demon, Polaris coming from the Gorgon family, or Serena being a vampire, one of the last of her people. So more of that has to do with anything more than the color of their skin. But for me, I just wrote them how I saw them, and it was never supposed to be a big deal. Now, as far as race and Gorgon, I'm probably gonna save this for another episode to dive into why I chose that route.
I
Versus
actually would
just
like to get
oh,
into
you want
that
me?
in another episode. No, in
Oh,
another
okay,
episode.
okay,
I feel like this
okay.
is more of an in-depth conversation just
Mm-hmm.
about race and diversity in fiction and picking and choosing what you choose to show based on what story you're telling. I feel like that's a good episode we could do.
Right. I can skip Bailey. Shut up. I agree.
It's okay to say I concur, honey.
I know. God, if only you watched Undisputed. But anyway,
What's that? We'll
sports.
get into it later. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah. So I feel like you should write whatever you want to, write the characters how you envision them. But if you are going to step into a realm that isn't your own, whether that's a different race, different sexual orientation, anything of that nature, especially for me as a male who wrote predominantly female characters, do your research if necessary. And remember, they are people too, write them like people. Because you know people, you're a person. And you know how you would want to be represented as a person. So just do your character justice, because your character is your baby. You don't want your baby to present anything that could be harmful to another person. That being said, just because the possibility of that exists doesn't mean that you shouldn't write what's speaking to you. And I feel like if you come up with a character, that character speaks to you.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I prefer character-driven stories over plot-driven stories any day of the week, because you know
Me too.
That doesn't mean that they're always going to be better.
No, I mean,
And
I feel that it's a healthy mixture. I feel that your character is more important than, maybe not more important than the plot, but it should be more of a focus because that's essentially what is driving said plot. But you
mm-hmm.
still need a good plot. So
Yes, or
they
at
kind of
least
go hand in hand in a weird
if
way.
you right, and if you have an engaging character, more likely than not, their journey, their plot will be engaging as well. You
Right.
don't have to write like Attack on Titan levels of plot building, but just have great, have characters that you can that are actually either entertaining or that you can connect with, or both. Otherwise, you're gonna have a gray sling, and then you're gonna want to question everything that you've ever done in your life.
Oh God.
Um, but if your plot is dragging your character along the story, there is a problem,
And
because
then if
that
your
means,
character is dragging the plot, then there's a problem.
well, characters can drive the plot. I
Well,
think
let's
that's
say the character's not driving the plot. Then there's
well. Then
something wrong.
yeah, right. If the character's not driving the plot, then they're just here for the ride.
That
They're just
means
a
in
punching
that
bag,
right,
like
in
Abby
that
would
case,
call
that means
them.
you don't have You don't have enough conflict or stakes
Right.
to encourage them to grow and to move the
Right.
plot along. So I mean, really, let's be fucking for real. Conflict is your core thing that you need in
Yes.
any story, whether that's novels, whether that's screenwriting. Conflict. That's exactly what the fuck you need. You don't got conflict, you don't got a story. Goddamn it. So,
Whoa.
did you
I'm looking
find the
through.
one that I pinned? Because there's one in particular that I wanted to bring up.
I can't. I can't see if you pinned something or not.
No. I mean, I like mentally pinned it.
What was it?
People who think you can't learn about writing from media.
Where the say that?
Oh, it's down there. Oh, I found it. I was like, what? Nah, that's some bullshit.
Did you put this in our notes?
No, I didn't put it. I put it on my notes, but I didn't put it in our notes.
Well, of course, baby. I can't see that.
No, I found it right here. Not really an unpopular writing opinion, but a fairly unpopular writing opinion. You really can't learn all that much about writing from watching movies and TV shows or even from reading screenplays. You learn about writing from things that are meant to be consumed by reading, books, stories, etc. That said, if you have to watch TV, some reality shows are actually really good for picking up speech patterns, nonverbal communication, bars, restaurants, whatever.
The fuck?
This man is
Okay.
so pissed. I
No,
do not
I would
agree with that at all.
absolutely not.
Not even a little
What?
bit. No.
Look, hear
No.
me out. Look. If you're going to write, you're going to have to read. It is what it is. You have to, because as someone who took an adaptation theory class, there are certain things that won't translate between the mediums. For example, there's certain things that will fly in the visual medium, like TV shows, movies, anime, manga, comics, that won't fly in a book. That is true. However, saying that you can't consume other media is bullshit, because it's all story at the end of the day. It's
Tell
all
it to him.
story.
Mm-hmm.
It's all story, and regardless if we're talking about what form it is in and how it tells its story, the skeleton is the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's still most likely some type of plot structure, regardless of which one, most likely the 3-act, if I had to guess. It's probably a 3-act structure. There are still characters. There's still a character's journey, more or less. And there are still challenges that the character is going to face along the way to their ultimate goal, whatever that is. So, if media inspires the stories that you write, which more often than not is the case, especially for indies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that's fine. And you can learn a lot from a visual medium. You can learn a lot.
You
To
can.
say that you right, to say that you can't just because it's presented in a different light is a little strange. Yes, you have to read. Yes, only certain things will work in the book. That's when you have to distinguish how these stories are told and what works, you know?
Yeah, because I got two things I can even use as an example here. For Set Me Free, the book that fucking inspired me to write it and the movie that inspired me to write it was The Lovely Bones. If you haven't read or seen the movie, you really should. It's very good. That's what helped inspire that. Music helped inspire that. Music helped inspire Hold Me As I Land. Okay? And as for screenwriting, the very thing that they tell you to do is watch movies. That's the best way to learn. And read screenplays. That's the best way to learn. Literally.
I'm trying to find this comment so I can reference it directly.
It's past the comment that says books shouldn't be a safe place or whatever the fuck. It's like right past that one.
Okay, I found it.
Okay. Yeah.
And shout out to Steve Hunt for saying disagree, storytelling is storytelling, no matter the genre or medium.
Facts.
Like,
I love how everybody's like double
this started.
What the fuck you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like everyone's going back and forth. Like,
I don't like. I mean, I think yes, you shouldn't rely on that all together to learn about it. You should also look at the world around you in order to learn more about writing and how to craft decent characters and people. But I feel like you're going to learn more from watching it and seeing how other people write and seeing how other people craft their plots more than anything. You have to have a mixture of really all three. Like you need that, you need some nonfiction resources or whatever, and then you need real life
Mm-hmm.
experience. You can't have one without the other. It just isn't going to work out like that.
Right.
So no, I fucking disagree. Like hardcore. That's why I said that. Let me put a pin on this one. I said that now this is something to talk about because I know for a fact I don't
Right.
think that's smart. You will fucking do yourself a disservice. I'm gonna be real for real. So if any new writers are listening to us right now, do not think that you need to not consume the media around you in order to write a decent story.
And
Yes, you should.
And I was just to add to your point, don't limit yourself.
Right, don't limit yourself. You're limitless.
Right, because even in books, you can do something that no one's ever done before. Right?
Basically, learn the
Or
rules and then break the rules.
right, because all rules are meant to be broken, and if you really want your story to stand out or mean something to you, because so long as your story means something to you, then it is valuable. Then find what your voice is and be heard and be loud.
And I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to end this episode off.
I concur.
I knew I was waiting for that. Okay.
But
Do you want to end it off?
I guess. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. This was John and
Kayla. Or Kay for sure. I go by both.
and thank you for listening to our inaugural episode of Two Indies and a Mic. And we will see you next week as soon as we come up with a topic for next week, which you will probably know by the time of this recording, to be honest.
Right.
So thank you guys. Shout out to you if you listened to the end. If you listened all the way to the end, congratulations. Here's a cookie. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, evening, wherever time it is where you're at.
All right.